distribution of the essential goods. The Maharaja also created a fund for the alleviation of distress of the poorest population. Infrastructure development reform. Maharaja Hari Singh initiated modern communication services of telegraph, telephone, and wireless to all the important cities and towns in the state. He was keen to build road, bridges, tunnel, hydropower station to facilitate his citizen with the best available technological solution and living standards. Upon his advice, flood control department was also constituted. Cooperative societies reform. The cooperative movement recorded a large growth and the number of cooperative credit societies in the state increase, to 4,000. Moreover, a large number of societies for the expansion of holdings, better living, education and marketing of agricultural products were also established across the state. A significant effort made by introducing the Right of Prior Purchase Act, which furnished the rights of rural population in context of agricultural land sales and purchase. Educational reform. Maharaja Hari Singh has to be honoured, one among the great educationists in South Asia. He set primary education and secondary education free all over the state. Primary education was made also compulsory in 1930 for boys in all the municipal towns. The Scholarship Selection Board was established and scholarships were granted to the deserving students for higher and technical education in India and abroad. Educational loan schemes were also introduced. New schools, colleges and institutes were established to accommodate increasing number of students. A campaign against adult illiteracy was also launched with considerable success. Urdu language was made the medium of instruction in schools, but students had the option of choosing either the Devanagari or the Persian scripts. Social reform. Maharaja Hari Singh, great humanist of his age, addressed the issues of social evils such as torturing and trafficking of women, child marriage, low-cost untouchables and others among the people of the state. To prevent female infanticide, the Maharaja constituted two committees in 1926 and 1929, which recommended including educating the people and severe action against the guilty of the crime. The Maharaja accepted both the recommendations. He also established the Dhon Devi Memorial Fund for the marriage of girls. He might always be admirable for prevention of child smoking. Maharaja Hari Singh, alongside taken the issue of child marriage up and promulgated an ordinance in which the marriage of boys and girls under 18 and 14 years respectively was prohibited, and its breach was punishable by 1 year's imprisonment or fine up to Rs1,000 or both. The Maharaja was the first ruler and reformer in Indian subcontinent who introduced the legislation against such category of social evils. To curb women and children trafficking, to engage them in prostitution and organizing prostitution business were declared punishable crimes. Encouraging or assisting in seduction or prostitution of minor girls was also declared crime and subject of punishment. Maharaja Hari Singh took bold step against the evil of untouchably traditions common against the low-cost communities. He opened all public schools, colleges, and wells to the untouchables in 1931. The next year, all the state temples were also thrown open to them. Lastly, in 1940 he proclaimed untouchability a crime. His removal of legal disabilities on the marriages of Hindu widows were regarded a doctrine in subcontinent. Health reform. The number of hospitals and medical dispensaries were also increased during the reign of Maharaja Hari Singh. Mother Health was a unique initiative and first ever a maternity block was opened in Srinagar. The number of hospitals and medical dispensaries together with qualified doctors and nurses was significantly increased. The Maharaja Hari Singh Hospital, one of the largest hospitals in subcontinent, with 320 beds, was inaugurated in Srinagar in 1945. The state of Jammu and Kashmir was distinguished by establishing tuberculosis department in whole of Indian subcontinent. Maharaja Gulab Singh Hospital had also been opened at Jammu, earlier in 1943. Special group of medical professional were established to handle the epidemic diseases and plague in various regions of state. An anti-plague plan was initiated with large achievements. In 1935, cholera broke out in Kashmir and 1.5 million injections were carried out, which the highest number that done anywhere at one time. Maharaja Hari Singh understood that clean water is highly important in good health and water is contributing in spreading most diseases. He made great efforts to boost the supply of unpolluted and clean drinking water. A special branch was created in the Power and Water Department, PWD, to resolve this particular concern. A tube well was bored in Jammu. Tanks and wells were also constructed. Large grants were provided for the improvement of water supply in Srinagar and other cities of state. There was significant expansion in the water supply, fire protection and electric safety works. Administrative reform Maharaja Hari Singh initiated to replace a totalitarian administration into more secular and non-communal practices. The strike of workers of Srinagar silk factory in 1924 was turning point of political and economic dissatisfaction in state. Indian National Congress and the All India Muslim League inflated in state. Political awareness embarked to rise on among the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Maharaja Hari Singh put his early focus upon the administrative reforms in state. The lack of local professionals and trained officers and administrator became seriously disadvantaged against the growth of various reforms since the time of Ranbir Singh. This crisis sharpened more during Pratap Singh's reign when Urdu and English languages was declared the court and official languages respectively. English language was declared necessary in the civil services of state that caused a large number of employments from outsiders of the state. There was certain number of schools and colleges offering Western education in the state, producing good number of locally educated young students every year, which was not sufficient to appropriate employment that gradually under the dominance of the alien from the subcontinent. These generate a mass wave of local anger against the outsiders. The crisis was resolved by the government which decided that only inborn state subject holders could be employed in the state civil services. Inborn state subject holders were defined as one who had been either born and residing in the state before 1846 or settled therein before 1885 inches. Muslims of Kashmir were traditionally educated in Persian and opted Western education not as earlier, which caused them obstruction and living behind in comparison with other communities to their representation in the state services. Nobility of the Kashmiri Muslim community moved toward the government in 1929 with demand of reserving quota in the state services for the Muslims. The government refused this justified demand of Kashmiri Muslim that led a wave of antagonism among the Muslim youth to turn out communal riots in Srinagar in July 1931. Afterward anti-government disturbance also took place in different regions of state. Maharaja Hari Singh took a serious notice the agitations, which earlier were suppressed, and appointed a commission to inquire into the grievances of the Kashmiri Muslims and other communities. The commission recommendations concluded for a fair and adequate representation in services to all the communities, grant of freedom of press and platform, return of the confiscated religious sites and establishment of a representative assembly. Maharaja Hari Singh voluntarily accepted these recommendations by his proclamation, which declared on July 9, 1931 that while in the matter of services prior consideration is and always shall be given to public interest, and the obligation of maintaining the efficiency of the administration at the highest possible level can never be overlooked, the police of his government would be to give adequate representation to all communities in the services without giving any preponderance to any community. New rules of state services were framed accordingly. He appointed Maulvi Abdul Rahim, one of the leaders of the 1931 agitation, as a judge in 1934. Continuing expansion in the representation of the Kashmiri Muslims in the civil services became significant as in April 1932 there were 3,052 Muslim officials, including 55 gazetted ranks, out of a total strength of 8,683. Their number rose to 5070, including 150 gazetted officials, out of 13,790 in April 1945, giving them about 40% representation in the total strength of the state civil services. Political reform. Although Muslim elite became satisfied with the administrative reforms of the Maharaja, but yet had discontentment with political system in state. Muslim nobility established All Jammu and Kashmir Muslim Conference in October 1932 under the leadership of Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah. Since the early days of 1846 to 1889, the state government was run by Maharaja's personal assignees and advisors headed by a prime minister. It was the Maharaja Pratap Singh who shared his powers to State Council in 1889, which an effort to regulate the conduct of the administration. Each member of State Council held charge of a number of departments. With a short break from 1905 to 1922, this arrangement continued till 1934. Maharaja Hari Singh endorsed the formation of a legislative assembly called the Jammu and Kashmir Puja Sabha in 1934. The Puja Sabha, which earlier declared as recommendatory body, was consisted upon 75 members, 12 government officials, 16 state councillors, and 14 nominated and 33 elected members. The last were named categorically, including with 21 Muslims, 10 Hindus and 2 Sikhs. The Muslim Conference won 14 seats out of 21 reserved for the Muslim in the first elections to the Puja Sabha, in 1934, covering 3 to 6% of the population. In the next election of 1936, it was able to raise its strength to 19. This established the claim of the conference to be called the major political party in the state. In June 1939, however, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah dissociated himself from the Muslim Conference and established a new party, the National Conference, which succeeded in securing a large following. It demanded that the Puja Sabha be given more powers, and that it be composed entirely of members elected by adult pollution based on a joint electorate, with some seats reserved for the minorities. Respecting popular demand, the number of elected seats of the Puja Sabha was increased from 33 to 40 in 1939. Its powers were also enhanced, and non-official members were more closely associated with the state administration to work as under-secretaries. Puja Sabha was empowered to make laws for the state's subjects, pass all legislation pertaining to the taxes as distinguished from fees and penalties, and to vote on the demands made by the government for budgetary allocations, with the exceptions of a few non-voted bills. A noteworthy step towards the establishment of a popular government was, however, taken in 1944. On October 2 that year, Maharaja Hari Singh sent the following message to the Puja Sabha: "I have after careful consideration decided to call upon the Puja Sabha to nominate a panel of 6, 3 to be Muslims, of its members, 3 from Jammu and 3 from Kashmir, including the frontier district. The Assembly will determine its own procedure for nominating the panel, official members taken no part in the proceedings. Out of the panels so nominated I shall appoint 2, one of whom will be a Muslim, as my ministers. These ministers will hold charge of portfolios to be determined by me. They will draw the usual salary of ministers unless the Puja Sabha desires to vary it, in which case the Sabha may submit its recommendations to me through the usual channels. The ministers so appointed by me, while if they still continue to be members of the Sabha, they will be eligible for reappointment." This message was welcomed with great enthusiasms by all of political groups in of the Assembly and led to the appointment of Msa Afzal Beg from National Conference and Ganga Ram, Dogra politician, as the ministers. Changes were introduced in the constitution of the municipal committees as well by establishing same criteria of the voter eligibility as set it for the Puja Sabha elections. Foreign policy: Maharaja Hari Singh assisted the British and its allied United States and Soviet Union against the German during the Second World War with armed forces and funds. He also personally visited the Middle East in 1941 to enhance the spirits of his soldiers combating on the war front. In 1944 he again visited abroad, and met a section of his troops in Persia. Dilemma of Indian politics and British Empire: Indian National Congress under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru was struggling for free, secular and democratic India, whereas the Muslim League under Muhammad Ali Jinnah stood for the partition and creation of Pakistan on the basis of religion. The state of Jammu Kashmir became a subject of this conflicting struggle. The National Conference of Kashmir positioned for secularism and progressively moved toward to the Indian National Congress. Jawaharlal Nehru visited Kashmir in 1940, that followed by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who also visited Kashmir in 1944. National Conference launched, on the pattern of Quit India movement of 1942, a Quit Kashmir movement against Maharaja Hari Singh in May 1946. the state government arrested Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah. Jawaharlal Nehru came to Kashmir in support of the movement. Partition of India. Price of colonialism. In 1947, India was divided in two dominion states run by governor-generals as representative of British Crown. Jammu and Kashmir had the option to join either India or Pakistan or remain independent. Maharaja Hari Singh was committed to maintain independence of state of Jammu Kashmir from the control of both either India or Pakistan. Maharaja Hari Singh was, thus, faced with another problem. He was required to decide whether he should join India or Pakistan or remain independent. Lord Mountbatten, the last British Viceroy of India, flew to Srinagar on June 19, 1947. On August 12, however, he tried to enter into a standstill agreement with both India and Pakistan. Pakistan agreed to standstill agreement, but on September 18, the state came under an economic blockade when Pakistan suspended supplies of all its essential commodities to the state. Pakistan invasion in Kashmir. Pakistan violated the standstill agreement on October 22, 1947 by preventing essential supplies to the state, and then invaded its armed tribesmen who entered in Kashmir. A huge number of tribesmen, equipped with modern weapons, invaded in Kashmir from the side of Abbottabad. The situation compelled the Maharaja to seek the help of India with joining the Indian Union on October 26 with a request of temporary accession to provide urgent military assistances. The first group of the Indian forces was flown to Srinagar on October 27. By then tribal invaders had already reached Baramulla. On November 7, the Indian forces fought a successful battle with the tribesmen. And by the end of March 1948, the latter were pushed back from a major portion of the state territory. Finding the tribesmen in a hopeless condition, Pakistan's regular army also entered into Kashmir to help his tribesmen in May 1948. Meanwhile, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was released from prison and appointed as the Prime Minister, and an interim government was set on March 5, 1948. The battle against the invaders continued till January 1, 1949, when a ceasefire was declared at the intervention of the Security Council of the United Nations. This left Muzaffarabad, Gilgit, Mirpur and part of Poonch under the total control of Pakistan. Maharaja Hari Singh went into exile as the Kashmir question placed in the United Nations. Dr. Karan Singh, his son, took over as regent of the state on June 20, 1949. Maharaja Hari Singh was great reformer, a nationalist and patriotic in spirit, betrayed by both Pakistan and India in their commitments. Maharaja Hari Singh breathed his last at Bombay on April 26, 1961. 50th anniversary of His Highness Maharaja Hari Singh invites the people of state of Jammu Kashmir to review the history and future of our